Hello and welcome to this week's midweek blog. The weather's beautiful, so I thought rather than do it in the garden or in the house, we get out on the bank, and I've come to a local club water. Hopefully find some peace and quiet, and I think there's a carp. I don't know if you can see it in the background there. Yeah, so a little recap on the fishing. It's the start of the river season. The river's opened on Friday. It's been boiling hot. The river was low and clear. I won't spoil it because the blog update's out this Friday, but it was hard going. A few fish, so there'll be plenty of fish in the update. But yeah, a low clear river with like boiling hot weather isn't an ideal start to the season. But yeah, we had a few fish. Looking forward to this week. There's reports that there's going to be a thunderstorm, which doesn't surprise me because it's so warm, and we will see what effect that has on the rivers. It says on the report that it's going to take them into flood, which for the barbel, because that is what I'm trying to move into a little bit, and you can see that carp in the background there just cruising on the top. Barbel is something that I'm trying to move into, so a flooded river wouldn't be a bad thing, I don't think, but we'll see where we end up. Hopefully it'll have a river with nice colour, and we'll get a few bites this weekend. But yeah, this Friday there'll be a river update, a river video, and next week there's a tench video planned. So there's plenty of content to come over the next 2 weeks. So let's get into this week's Q&A. Right, so the first question this week is all about my setup for my fishing, and there's been a few comments and PM messages on Facebook and YouTube about how strong a setup I'm using for my method feeder fishing. Now, quite simply, when I choose a strength of line, I take two factors into account. The first one is where I'm going to be casting into the swim. So as you can see on this clip that I'm just about to put on now, I'm targeting the fish close to features. It's a pressured water, and I think the fish are going to be tight up next to the features. So I'll just play a little clip of a cast that I made recently. Right, so as you can see on that cast, I'm casting within a foot of the reeds. So that's where I am placing that feeder. First of all, that's where I think they're going to be. They're going to feel safe in the cover, and the closer you get to it, the more chance you've got of one falling for the trap. I then take into account the size of the fish in the venue. Now I fully understand that the line that I'm using, which is this stuff, is overpowered for £4 tench and £6 bream, but the setup that I'm casting out there, the lake does have £20 carp in it, upwards of £20 carp, and a lot of mid fish. I'm not going to put any spoilers in for next Friday's video, but we'll see if people change their opinion when they see that video. So when you look at it that way, you've got the potential of an upper double £20 fish taking that bait a yard away from snags. So you've got to have a setup that is safe. It's no point me fishing on there with £4 line. It's just going to get snapped and be trailing a load of line, and you'll never trail a method feeder because it's free running, but there is the potential for them to be training line and a hook, and I don't want to take that risk. I want to have the best balanced setup that I can, and for me, on venues where I am fishing places where there is a carp up to £20 and the average size of fish is about £6-7, I want to be prepared for all eventualities and fishing safe. So I'd much prefer to be using this and have a chance with a big fish and get a fight. The rod is balanced to that, so I'll get a fight from the smaller fish, but if I do hit one of the special fish, then I've got the right setup for the job. So that is the answer to that question, and kind of an explanation on my reasoning for using that strength line. So question 2 this week is quite a contentious one really. Otters, my opinion on otters, and the introduction of them. I'm very fortunate that the rivers that I fish have very few of them on. I've come across them. First and foremost, I love wildlife. If I seen one on the bank, I'd take it as a moment that was special. I've seen them on the River Dee, and my time seeing them, I've always treasured that moment of being so close to such a creature. Now, my opinion on the reintroduction of them is okay, fine. You can put them back into waters and introduce them, but they've got to be the right type of water. If you're putting them on a water that's, say, like the River Dane, where there's a small population of large barbel, big, and chub, there's not, on the upper reaches, there's not the silvers there, then that's wrong. That's completely wrong. There needs to be an ecosystem there that can sustain not just one otter that you're putting in. It's going to be a family by the time you've put 2 in, and they're going to spread down the river, and it's got to be a river that can support them long term. They're on the Ribble and the River Dee, huge rivers with salmon runs, plenty of fish, and I'm sure that the ecosystem will balance itself on there quite quickly to cope with what is an apex predator. Smaller rivers, I don't agree with it. Rivers like the River Bollin and the River Gowie is one, the River Gowie they've been introduced on, and they're just devastating. The chub can't produce fish to support them quick enough, then they're eating the fish that are mature enough to breed, and that's when you get the problems with the fish then move on to waters like this one here, for example, where carp are introduced. And then the carp, obviously the otters then move on to waters like this where the carp are easy to pick off, and that's where debate starts with it, and that's where people start coming into contact with them. You start seeing fish that are dead and stuff like that, and that's where the bad publicity comes. But that comes from really these type of waters, not this one in particular, but waters like this being close to rivers that can't support the otters full time. So yeah, that is one of the my thoughts and opinion on it. They're good, putting them in waters that can sustain them, but small little waterways, no, never going to be a fan of that, because I don't think long term they can support them. Right, so the final question this week, Move Swims, had a good walk around the lake, is one that I get asked quite a lot, and it's what camera do I use for my recording on YouTube? Whenever I reply to it, people are quite shocked. I use my phone camera. It's a Samsung S7 Edge. Well, the Edge is pointless on it really, doesn't really do it. But it's a Samsung S7, and I use tripods and bank sticks, and I put the bank stick in the ground behind me with like a holder on it, and yeah, I have a little tripod when I do the sitting down talking to the camera pieces. But the whole lot is recorded on my camera on my phone. In time, I am hoping to. I've always said I'd reinvest any money that I made on the YouTube revenue into improving it. So things like a GoPro for the piking, and certainly for the river season, having a camera in position all the time is something that I'm looking at. But it's got to be realistic. I have a family to support, and fishing doesn't put food on the table, so it's got to pay for itself. So when I started doing YouTube, I made a point of any money that I made off my written blog and off the YouTube videos would go back into making the videos better. So things like a GoPro, stuff like that, better equipment will come in time. But for now, it's just me and a camera phone, and you have to appreciate sometimes it's not the easiest to get the best videos. There's some fantastic videos out there, some are absolutely amazingly edited videos, and I'm learning the editing side as well. But for all my videos really it's just me and my Samsung S7 camera, and I do all the recording on that, and I use Windows Media Player for the editing. So yeah, it's pretty basic at the moment, but that's what I use. I was sat in the house tonight and it's the end of this week's video, and I just thought, I went outside to try and record it and the neighbours were out, there was dogs barking the lot, and I thought just get in the car, go out somewhere and record it on a quiet lake. And I don't visit this venue a lot, but since I've been here you can see how clear the margins are. I've seen tench moving along these margins. If you zoom, I don't know if you can see it out there, if you zoom in out there, that's carp on the top. It's alive with fish. It looks a lovely place to fish, and it is right on my doorstep. It's very deep, but yeah, what a lovely place. But yeah, that wraps up this week's video. If you've got any questions, just drop them in the comment section below and I'll add them to the list. And yeah, thank you very much for watching, and look out for Friday's video, and I'll catch you all next time. And it would be great if you could like and subscribe. I'll catch you next time, and I'll just leave you with that glorious sun and a look over the lake.